Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Off the Chain. Today I'm extremely grateful to have Nguyen with me. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Theo.
No, of course.
I'm excited to be on Off the Chain and have a real talk conversation about crypto. And
no, absolutely. It's been a pleasure. We've sort of conversed back and forth on different platforms. I think you mentioned LinkedIn before we were recording. But it's good to sort of get in person and have a good chat about what you've been up to and your thoughts on the space and all the rest of it.
And I'm curious about your thoughts as well.
Cool, for sure. We can get into that.
Because you know you're getting into Web 2 and Web 3, so I'm wondering if you see some intersections between the two.
For sure, no, there's no doubt about that. So I love to give the listeners and the watchers, depending on what platform they're on, a little bit of context about you. So a little bit about your origin story to give people a bit of a picture around, you know, how you've sort of come up, and if they've got some sort of similarities, it'll give them inspiration or some insight into how to get into Web3.
For sure. So I always start with my mum because I feel like it's more about a mindset more than anything else when you want to enter a new space. And I think being resourceful is something that my mum taught me. So just give some context. She's a mum of 5, single mum, and she's a refugee. So she's like really hunger for trying to, you know, get us to have a better life.
Yeah.
And because she couldn't afford childcare, she just chucked us in the local library. And you know, local library is like a gold mine of knowledge if you want to leverage it. It exists, like Google didn't exist beforehand.
Of course.
So I was hanging out with Sigmund Freud when I was 12 years old, reading like really shitty romance books like Miller Boone or something like that. Reading children's book, comics.
Yep.
Even my brothers were learned how to play chess there, so I've learned how to play chess there as well.
Cool.
So I just think, you know, she taught me that, and I just realized like all the knowledge that I have was like, oh, even the internet, the internet just came out there. So every time the phone, the computer was available, I just jumped on. And that's when I got learned more about that knowledge could be compacted in one place, but also I felt like that I got access to digital communities. Have you heard of Merc or IRC?
Yeah, I was on that.
Yeah, so I was on there almost religiously
I
every day.
was obsessed.
Yes.
Yeah, it was bad. It was too much.
But it's also like I feel like that's like Web3 as well, or when you enter a new space, you go down the rabbit hole because you found friends who were
100%
like different.
ASL.
But you know, I remember like having my name as like a very feminine name, and then I got on board like weird guys.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, but so once I started changing my name to a neutral username, my name went down all the way on the bottom. Did you like that?
Yeah.
And I stopped getting all these like random messages, and it didn't sound girly.
Yeah.
So I got.
Well, you got to use the platform for how you wanted to instead of getting pestered by.
Yeah. And I just realized, like, you know, I had a cutesy name like Susie Woozy or something like that. Of course, I go get like, you know, it's like Woozy as well. So that, you know, I just realized like the power of names or being intentional with the way you build up your personal brand came from then as well. Awesome. So yeah, and so that, I guess like I was the first one to graduate as an interior designer, and you know I got a 9-to-5 job, but that didn't make sense to me. So I became an artist, and I realized like, oh, I loved it because I was my peak creative self, but I didn't make money. So if I wanted to go,
you have the balance.
So I had to like build up different skill sets, but along the way through my interior design course, I learned how to document. So I just learned how to document and put it on social media. And Gary Vee is a huge believer of documentation.
100%.
And because of that, through documenting, you learned how to communicate, show your why, and then you kind of organically grew an audience because people just love seeing your journey. And I think because of that, I was able to leverage social media. And people attended my exhibitions and things, and I started getting more money from marketing than my artwork, even though I was exhibiting, right? But I was only getting through grants. So that's not a very
sustainable model, no.
No, but even so I realized I was like, but I thought video was the go-to thing. So I'm always like an early adopter to things. I was on Instagram when it first came out. I was on Meerkat when it first came out and became the top 20 live streamer there. And then it kind of died within 6 months. But because of that, it opened more doors for me to access different communities from a different world. And
you also got to cut your teeth on a new platform and work out like whatever the features from there that have been brought over to new ones you already had of the game.
I got paid in crypto.
Oh, let's go.
And then I used that money to travel around the world. So that was a good investment to myself.
Absolutely.
And people were like, I also found champions on the platforms who opened more doors for me, and I got to stay in San Francisco for 6 months free.
Yeah, wow.
So that was my access to an entry into crypto, into startup, and it's like, I want to get into startup world. And then I realized, what skills am I missing? And I kind of like went around interviewing people around the world as well, and had access to the founder of, what's the big, South by Southwest.
Yeah, okay.
I just emailed him like, hey, I'm here for like 3 days. Do you have 30 minutes so I could interview? I interviewed Gary Vee. Can I interview you? And he's like, yes, but you have to come early.
Yeah.
So I had access to, I had like a 99% hit rate of like people saying yes to me.
Actually, I remember commenting on that post when you you hacked your way to sort of get in front of Gary. I remember I was like, that was fucking awesome. And I actually commented, I think it might have been on LinkedIn. It was probably was on LinkedIn. I was like, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I camped in front of the entrance.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's the best.
Like I kind of like I got a question ready, and I even tweeted him beforehand.
Was that here?
No, it was in Hong Kong.
Right.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and even D-Rock hold my phone.
That's the best.
Cause like, and I leveraged it, and to this day, like I use that as a tool to open more doors.
100%.
So I think you have to sometimes just be, the worst thing you could do is just like do things that normal people don't do, because even Gary will like give you a little door, like even if it was just like this much.
Yep.
I don't talk to him now, but I can use that card now to like message him, like, hey, do you remember the time I messaged, like interview in front of
He'll remember.
Yeah, he will remember.
His memory is crazy.
He's even though he doesn't tweet, he scans through his phone.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So and if you message
Shoot
him
your
enough,
shot.
yeah, sometimes you have to
sure.
do that. So that's like my story of how I got into the space, and because I grew a community around me, I was able to help them enter into new spaces as well. And that's like my journey of like who I am today. It's just like I feel like being resourceful, being curious, and go down these really weird and interesting rabbit holes.
Yeah, for sure. So the like the creativity's obviously helped as well, from in terms of like the way that you think, but also obviously the initial use case that we've seen is this creative aspect of NFTs and unlocking or giving creators the power back, right? So that would have been an extra kick for you to.
So I was part of the creator economy, I guess, and you saw that as well. And like because of that, I became a brand ambassador for global brands, and the fact that you saw some of my videos kind of shows that like it works, right? So, but you just have to be in front of their faces or inside their mind. And I use fried chicken quite a lot. And yesterday I had someone who followed my journey and was like, why didn't you comment? And she's like, I didn't feel like I was ready to. But she's been following my journey from the start.
Yeah.
So I thought that was like kind of interesting.
That's funny, isn't it? I get that a lot as well, where people don't, like sometimes, like I just create regardless of how something performs, right? I do sort of more of like a documentation side of things as well as like these conversations. So I get to meet people that I either admire or have worked with or whatever it might be, and I get to kill two birds with one stone because we get to build a relationship, I get to create content, and I get to distribute it, etc. Right? So it's cool the way that works, but I have a lot of people sort of, if I see them or they might DM me and it's like, hey, keep going, or I love the content, or I did 100 days of NFTs on LinkedIn, and everyone's like, what number are you up to? But it's like I'm thinking to myself, why aren't you commenting and sharing my content?
I actually
help me out.
I call them out on it. It's because it's not in their nature.
No, it's not.
Unless you trigger them. So now
100%, and especially now in the passive nature of the way people scroll their feeds, they're just consuming without the thought of, this would really help that person if I.
Theo, next time when you create content and whoever's watching, I want you to comment. You have to ask them a question, because like they don't
For sure, you got to prompt them. Yeah.
You have to prompt them.
Well, that's going to be a little micro content on TikTok, so we're going to get a lot of comments on this one.
So I'm just saying, if you reply and just say, I like fried chicken or I like Theo,
Yeah.
then we know that you're engaging,
Yeah.
because like, that actually helps the algorithm. But also when you comment, it actually also tells
provides feedback,
but also gives you more content of seeing Theo on your feed or me on my feed.
Yeah.
So, you know, like,
I like that.
So people don't realize that, like, you're actually training the AI or the machine learning
to give you more of the same. Yeah, no, for sure. So, tell us a little bit about your project.
Yes.
And what inspired it. I've heard the story. I think it's great, but I really want to share it with people firsthand. So tell us a little bit about it, and we can dig into that a little bit.
Oh yeah, like this is the main conversation. So Chubbieverse, it started off with like creating 250 derpy, fat, very chubby corns. And what was interesting was that one of the co-founders of Chubbicorns and Chubbieverse was in the NFT space for a year.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, String, you need to get on because it's the intersection of
what you do.
What I do, community, creativity, entrepreneurship and innovation. But I was working on my startup for the last 3 years. And I was like, that would distract me from what I'm doing. I was really close to product market fit because I was getting traction and things. But then I'm like, effort, I need to go and follow this curiosity. That's what I do. Yeah. And because of that, I have found product market fit, which is something that a lot of startup founders trying to strive for within 5 days.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, right? Yeah. And during the bull run, everything is a tsunami more like anything else. And you know, I pulled in my networks. So instead of being an artist, I became more of a hustler, because in the startup world, you could be a hipster, the hustler, or the hacker, and I was the hustler this time. So I just like leveraged my network and pinged a lot of artists, and they gave me their characters.
Cool.
Like whatever they created, right? Instead of like starting over, let's like leverage what they already exist in.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like a smart idea. And
sure.
So
it makes it faster.
Yeah, the artists showed me their collection and told me what was already popular in like they already had their own shop already.
Okay. Yeah,
so we already know what was popular. Like red raccoon were popular, bunnies were popular, and unicorns were popular. And this unicorn popped out, and we said make it derpier, because we want to make it very memeable.
Right.
And we thought like we'd go sit in the cute vibes, because like Pudgy Penguin was kind of kicking goals, and then we noticed like not a lot of cute stuff are popping up. So we'd created like these really hand-drawn 250 chubby unicorns, no code, uploaded them OpenSea, and nothing happened for like 3 days or 250. I just pinged my people. Yeah. Sometimes you just have to like ping your people and just tell them, mint this, get this. I just did something, help me out. Like don't even say help me out, like just drop links.
Yeah.
And that kind of had a bit of momentum, but one traction happened was like we know once our thesis was once the Pudgy Penguins see this project, it should pick up. And he did. Some of the influencers and like bought a few already, and we have like still those some of the OGs who hold on to the mint prices. And what was funny is like it had a spiral effect. Other people, then we created memes around it. It was like, you know, Pudgy Penguins doesn't have legs, so you need a steed, a friend to help you get into the metaverse.
Right.
So this is like how like the lore started between us. And I think it was really important, because every time Pudgy Penguin does well, it has a penguinomics trickle effect onto.
That's so interesting. That's really interesting, because of the mutual holders.
Yeah, we have a strong
projects.
mutual holders of like Pudgy Penguins in there, because it feels like we have like a really strong relationship between us, and we just targeted them. We targeted a lot of influencers, created kicks on their feed, and they love kicks, they love poker, and we just like kind of meme their way into existence and meme into their hearts, and then like they kept on buying it. Yeah. To the point where like BBD and People Pleaser and other big, it felt like Chubbicorn was a whale attractor, and it kind of like had a ripple effect. Even now we have a really good amount of like people who just hold on to it, because it's like an OG collection. It's like Dinos or like Ether Rocks. It's being compared to that at the
Interesting. Moment. Okay. What date did it release last year?
It's like October 2021
Yeah.
peak bull run.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what is the actual, what's the actual mission for the business?
Spread good vibes and rainbow farts and giggles. So you know how like Hello Kitty has the ethos about joy?
Yeah.
We want the action of giggles. Because
Okay.
when you giggle with your friend, you have like a very happy,
joyful,
right?
Yeah.
But when you have a birthday party, you giggle with your friends. Like you'd celebrate the birthday parties. And because of that, because of the 250 Chubbies, we were able to, within 2 months, we just had to double down the momentum because we needed to like build our treasury. We used the momentum to create Chubbieverse, and it sold out in 5 hours. And we were able to generate, like mint out in 5 hours and generate sales of about $3 million at that time.
Yeah, wow. So
kind of crazy momentum.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the timing was perfect for sure. So how did the two concepts, I guess, roll into one to make it one overall?
Well, I have to say, like the digital culture or the audience is very different for the two, because I feel like there's like almost like OG holders or crypto OGs in the Chubbicons and the Chubbieverse friends. We were crazy. We should have, if we had to redo it again, I wouldn't do like 5 characters or 5 different body types into one collection. We probably would have done one animal instead, but because of the 5 characters, we were able to have its own data set about what was popular, what characters were popular.
Right.
And the cats were popular and the chubby whales were popular. So it's really interesting. It's like its own data set. And so the Chubbieverse is just like almost like a baby version of a chubby unicorn, but cuter animals. So because we wanted to create like a world where chubby unicorns have friends around them as well. And yeah, so we just wanted to like keep on spreading good vibes. We don't have a roadmap, by the way, as well, which is like interesting in the space because the market changes so much. So you have to keep on adapting to the market.
Well, of course, yeah. It's always it's like any startup pitch deck. Like, yeah, cool, you can have a roadmap, but how many of them actually execute on the whole thing?
No, because then once they reach the milestone, they realize, oh, it doesn't work.
Yeah, because you're still testing. Like, you're so early in the piece. Even if you're in an established market, you're so early in the piece that you need to stay nimble. That's one of the benefits, the competitive advantages of being small and being a new business and having capital to be able to stay nimble and adapt to what the market conditions are or whatever the strategic change might be. So
yeah, because now we're in a bear market, we have to, and royalties might not exist in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Which is like one of the reasons why we came in through, because every secondary sales, and I think that's where Gary Vee saw it as well. It's like every secondary sales is an opportunity to make more money.
Sure.
And add to the treasury as well. But now there is no royalties. It's because like the incentive model doesn't make sense for like the marketplaces. But then that also will dry up a lot of like creators not want to go on the platform as
That's
well.
right.
So it's just like a weird dilemma. But I want, like they probably did that because like they might lose money, but they shouldn't use it as an opportunity for growth more than anything else as well.
For sure, I think that'll play out over time. I don't think it's something that can stay that way. I think that because the marketplaces themselves are startups, because the space is so small, so they're just trying to make competitive moves to continue to generate revenue themselves as well, right? So if they're creating something that traders want to go to and continue to be active on, so that the marketplaces can make money, or at least keep their user base to hold some sort of value to raise another round, then they're doing that now as a survival piece. They certainly won't need to do it, or there won't be a place for it in the next bull run. But at the same time, they're probably going to lose a lot of friends certainly from a creator perspective when it comes time for the market to explode again. So it's a really interesting place for them to be in.
Yeah, well, but I think it's just a growth model, because like the more users they have on their platform, and the more stickier the platform is, the more that they could use that numbers to go and raise more funds. Like Magic Eden at the moment is in an interesting space, because like they probably have to cross-platform now. They have to pivot to another platform because Soul might not be around in the next bull run.
Yeah. Well, they've already got Ethan Polygon now on their platform. Obviously, not as much volume as what they had because they're known as a Solana marketplace for sure. But yeah, it's all really interesting on how that's going to play out. So what are you focusing on for the next few months for the project?
So we actually grew really rapidly because we're so memeable. We went on to Giphy because like we noticed our like communities, like we've been doing experiments with our own communities and we gave them a meme machine, but they don't really like being Canva. You know how in Canva you could like create your own things?
Yeah.
People don't like that.
Okay.
So we created another form where it's like we gave them hundreds of like stickers.
Templates.
Not even templates. Just give them memes and GIFs for them to use. Like Pepe, you know how Pepe.
Okay, like pre-done.
Yeah. And because of that, they can use it everywhere. And then we uploaded that onto Giphy, and then within 8 months, we got like 1 billion views.
Yeah, wow.
So even aunties from Philippines are using us. Don't even know it. But that doesn't like convert with sales, but it builds up brand awareness when they see us.
Yeah.
So then, it shows that we're very memeable into the everyday person.
So you're looking at like toy deals, like building shows.
So like IP is like really what we're focusing on, but also we want to keep on experimenting because you have to think of different income streams to like survive as well.
Of course.
But also we're thinking about developing our IP, but also like figuring out like what's the next go-to market strategy for us. Is it kids or is it adults or is it in between? It's like, is it parents? Or like we noticed through our data, like this one donut, like a chubby called licking a donut hole. Like it has lewd connotations for adults, but also like kids think it's funny.
Yeah.
So we
sort of like Shrek, but like a more lewd version.
Like yes, or
adults
like
can
Stewie.
find things funny and
Stewie is a good one. Like he's like cute and adorable, but he says weird
he's
and
a
deep.
pig, yeah.
Which is kind of pepperish, right?
Yeah.
But also like we're like skewed in the cute vibes where it's like girls will like us because we're kawaii and we're very cute. So we're very memeable, but we just need to find which group do we target first and stuff. So we're just like going for the experimenting as well because like maybe the game plan is like, what if we became the Web3 arm of Hello Kitty? So that means like we have to be making sure that we're very memeable, but very appeals to a certain market. And there's like a very strong marketplace for like kids content as well. But I'm just doing research mode a little bit. But I think what I was trying to say is that we're also developing updating the metadata of our NFTs. So you could name your chubby corner or chubby friends, and it's been updated on OpenSea. And now we're adding more backstory into it as well. So people are adding like their favorite food in there, or they name their characters or their superheroes, and we're developing and launching very soon a backpack. This is alpha, and I'm sure they won't. By the time this is released, like you already see the next evolution of it.
Okay, cool.
But we're like integrating where other collections could enter the Chubbieverse as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
It means we have what like if we had to go on high level, it's like how do you turn these like 2D characters into livable characters?
Okay.
Because the more sentimental value you add to it, it's like how do you make them alive? Like do you add more stories into them? Do you make them into real life characters? Because in the metaverse you want to have skins of these characters. So we just go give them this kind of backstory. So then when they get ready for it, they have all these like little nuances behind them. So like it's almost like, when you got a basketball player, it tells you like how many shots are there, 3-point player, or their point guard or things.
The stats, yeah.
Yeah, so we're giving, instead of us giving the stats when you mint them, we're giving the collectors, the owners, the adopters, the ability to like give them...
Create that profile. Yeah, and does that happen on the back end of your site?
Yes, there is. So like we already like did that. You could already like name them, but now what we're doing is like creating a thesis where other collections could enter into it, because we have like a really strong friendship group with other collections as well. So I think it's important to like, make them
collaborate,
and give them more sentimental value as well to their characters as well. Because if they survive, we survive.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's awesome. So what does the team look like at the moment?
It's quite small. We're like less than 10, and we still have we have Space Pixel, and he became a bit of he's like an alien cat in the metaverse, and he's dropping, truth bombs in his own Twitter space. So he's still around. The two artists who were started off with us, they like took a back seat, and they helped us go from 0 to 1, but now they gave us the concept of it, but they're not ready. Like I don't think they got burnt out during the process, which is kind of like normal, but also my first experience with like really strong founder dilemma, but we were able to resolve that. And now we have different artists, because of the initial IP, we're able to grow that, and we have like a few developers and a Discord and moderators and also like different artists as well, developing GIFs and stickers and helping with the UX of it as well.
Amazing. So from if we take a step back for people that are sort of listening that might have like creative skills, or they're entrepreneurial, or they have a marketing background, where do you think the best place is to start for those that are like, obviously we're like, let's call it what it is, a lot of people are still very maybe concerned, worried, speculative skeptical, not speculative, around the NFT space in general.
Yeah, and I think they have every right to be so, but you do need a certain type of mindset to, like, you probably have a very curious mindset or early adopter mindset, right?
Yeah, and I like risk.
Yeah, and you have high risk tolerance. So you already like fit the profile.
Yeah.
When I meet you, it's like, I bet you he has like lots of NFTs, or he dabbled into it. So you kind of need that, because like if you want stability, you can't get it.
No.
But a lot of people do. But if you're someone who loves learning, who wants to like be part of like something much grander, because there's a lot of reasons why people are in this space, and you have good risk appetite and you don't mind learning from this experience, the people that you go connect with this will like be your friends in the future. And that's how I see it as, whereas like I have a strong risk appetite. Like, I'll bounce back regardless. If it didn't work out, who cares? I learned from it.
Yeah.
And I just go keep on bouncing. But you need to have a bouncing ability to like do that, because you could go down a rabbit hole, but it might not work out for you, and that's okay. You went in there, found something, loved it, and you'll stay. But if you don't love it, it's okay. Like you can learn. You even have.
At least you know. You don't want to have regrets not knowing.
But there's some transferable skills. So I think one is like to have that mindset, to have like a bounceability. 3, like transferable skills. You have to be a shit poster, reply guy, understand how to like know how to grow a community or rally a community. And what else is like, what's really, be a data person as well, understand how to follow and track wallets. So Nansen is a good tool if you know how to use it. Another one is NFT Inspect if you know how to use it. Like there's already existing tools for people who are data analysis, community, growth marketers, storytellers. UX people are required, even though like there's not a lot of jobs around that, and developers as well. There's always people who want more more people do smart contracts.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess like there's no human in the world probably that has all of those skills. So I guess a good place to start that I've seen is, definitely buy some NFTs. There's like as small as a couple of dollars. Even if you think about like VV, they've got Marvel IP, DC comic IP, and a bunch of strong IP, and you can buy comics on there for like $2 just to experience the transaction. And then also they've got a very strong community, so getting involved and sort of working out might be a really easy way. You can do it with Apple Pay for a couple of bucks and you're in. But the point is, once you've had some experiences across a couple of different types, getting in and learning and meeting people is the way, because then you can be like, oh, I've been speaking to this person for 6 months. They're actually a smart contract developer, or this person's a UX designer. I'm going to see if they've got an appetite to sort of join my team and put something together with me.
Yeah, like I joined a lot of communities, and there's only like 3 that I hang out on a regular basis. Yeah. And one of them has to have like, I tend to look for a builder community, because like they're always building in the space. So that's like my way of like seeing what's happening around the
That's
world.
good.
And if you're a builder, you will do well in this space, especially if you're intersecting with AI right now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you've got the point is I like your point around the mindset, because that's most of it. Like, you've got to be willing to give it a crack, and if you're doing it with the right intentions, then you're either going to have success from a financial or business progress perspective, or you're going to learn a bunch, and you might, lose money or definitely time, but at least you've known that you've given it a try in a particular way. And I think people need to really keep it front of mind that they're building a business, and it's almost the same as what they'd be doing in any other industry. It's the same concepts. It's just there's different ways of playing and different rules of engagement within Web3 that you need to consider from a growth perspective, and how you're sort of thinking about your strategy in terms of launch and
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of projects or collections won't survive because they don't have strong operation skills
100%.
or operator skills.
Yeah.
It's like might be their first startup.
Yeah, exactly.
But
For most it would be.
Yeah, and imagine like they're probably like didn't manage their treasury properly, and a lot of them are down bad right now. But this is like a valuable lesson for them, and they're probably going to be stronger founders next time.
Absolutely. It's just like, the problem is that in these instances, most of the time the money that they're risking is sort of consumers and sort of people that have sort of invested that might be over investing. Whereas in the, let's call it the Web 2 world, or in the traditional world, you're risking often angel money, where they're sort of playing a game of, if 2 out of my 100 investments win, then that's the game, and I know that there's a high risk.
Yes.
So the lack of education around your consumer investors in Web3 often can get founders in a bit of a bind, because they end up having this community that's really angry at them because they're expecting the price to continuously go up forever, where they don't understand that there's cycles to markets.
But it's also a valuable lesson on like how to be a great communicator.
Yeah.
But also like manage PR and set expectations, because they do have real unrealistic expectations, a lot of the retail investors.
Absolutely.
But then because they have such a strong ownership, that's like a pro and con with anything else. But then also like speaking of mindset, I think like usually being a founder is a ego killer, but not in the case in Web3 sometimes, because you make so much money, you think there's a much more stronger God complex. But also during the bear crash, I hope that they have more of a humbling experience, and that will get them ready for the next one.
No, for sure. So what do you think is going to happen in 2023, just from an overall perspective?
Well, like we still have some really strong use case, right? Because like the corporations have jumped in, like Disney, and I'm looking at them because like how are they going to develop IP and new storytelling? Because I think for them the game plan isn't so much NFTs, it's more the metaverse play, because like experiencing Disney is like a lot of like nostalgic factor.
For sure.
And also Polygon did a great job like partnering up with Disney, partnering up with
their BD team is crazy.
Yes, you think that's pretty impressive, right? So I'm impressed by
Starbucks, Disney, the list
even
goes
Reddit,
on.
right?
Reddit,
so Reddit was like a really good thesis on like renaming it, and even people could change their mind if there's some kind of dopamine hit, and the fact they call it digital collectibles kind of shows like people do like collecting.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
People are just scared of things they don't know.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Well, that's because they ask the wrong questions. Remember how we joked around and it's like, people don't even know how iPhone works technically, but they use it because it works. You have the ability to find information and call your friends from it. So it's the same thing with a blockchain or NFTs. Eventually you're probably going to have an NFT. It's just going to be another tool, but you don't need to know how it works. You just need to know, you just have to have the trusted ability to say, yeah, it's there.
I've bet my next few years of my career on that exact thesis, so I think it's a good way to end. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you got some value from that. Like String said earlier, please comment, share, like, etc. Let us know what you think. Give us some fried chicken or give us a couple of thumbs up, and we'd love to see you again soon. Cheers. I really hope you've been enjoying Off the Chain so far. No matter how you're consuming this content, please leave your feedback either through the content platform itself or find me on Twitter at offthechainweb3. Cheers for your support. Thanks a lot.